I sat by the window looking into the gray mist behind him. There has been some coldness in our relationship for a long time, but I could never have thought that everything would go this far. His name was Jonathan, and we had been together for almost 10 years. Yesterday, I believed that everything was fine between us, but this morning changed everything. Suddenly, my heart felt cold when I noticed a message on his phone that he accidentally left on the table. I tried not to look, but curiosity and fear got the better of me. "I miss you so much, Lisa. When can we be together again?" These words cut into my soul like a knife blade. I closed my eyes, hoping it was just a horrible dream I was about to wake up from. But unfortunately, this was the reality. What did I do wrong? When did our relationship start to fall apart and I didn't even notice it? I read the message again, trying to understand what was going on. The name Lizzie was unfamiliar to me, and I could not understand who she was and what she meant to Jonathan. But one thing I knew for sure: this was the beginning of the end. I could not bring myself to believe what had happened. During the day, I tried to look calm, but inside I was seething. Every time Jonathan passed me, I felt a cold wave run through my body. He did not notice my condition. He seemed to be immersed in his thoughts, and this only fueled my suspicions. When he, as usual, kissed me goodbye before leaving for work, I felt that this kiss was not the same as before. I stood by the door, watching him get into the car and drive away. I used to trust him without question, but now every move he made caused me to doubt him. My heart clenched in pain. For the first time in 10 years, I felt so alone around him. Our home, once filled with love and laughter, now seemed empty and cold. I knew I had to do something, but I didn't know where to start. Was it worth following him? Should I have told him everything directly? I picked up the phone to call my friend, but I couldn't press the call button. How could I admit that Jonathan was cheating on me? It seemed to me that it would destroy me completely. I decided to try to find the answers myself. In the evening, I noticed that he was more often distracted by the phone, went to another room to answer messages, and when he returned, he smiled awkwardly, trying to hide something from me. It was a small detail, but it clearly caught my eye. Suspicions slowly turned into confidence. Another woman appeared in his life. I had to find out the truth. The same truth that could destroy everything we've built over the years. I was lying on the bed, looking at the ceiling, where dark shadows were blurring. Memories of our best times swirled in my head. I thought back to the day Jonathan and I met for the first time. He was so charming, funny, and considerate. We walked in the park, talked about everything in the world, and I felt that I had found my soulmate. Those early years were perfect. We went on trips together, made plans for the future, laughed and even quarreled over little things, but always put up with a smile. I always believed that our love was strong and unbreakable. But now when I remembered all these moments, it seemed to me that it was only an illusion. My soul cried out in pain. How did we get there? How could you lose each other like that? I remembered our first kiss, our sleepless nights when we talked until the morning, and each time this question deeply wounded me. What happened to us? I knew I couldn't get those times back, but it hurt even more to realize that our future had become so uncertain. I no longer saw in his eyes the love I felt before. Instead, they had coldness and indifference. But what bothered me the most was that I didn't know when exactly everything started to change. Was I just turning a blind eye to the obvious? Did you not want to see the truth? I wanted to believe that there was still a chance to save our relationship, but something inside told me that these were just vain hopes. I continued to develop this story with each part, adding more emotions and details. What do you think? How do you like the development of the plot? The next morning, when I woke up, Jonathan was already going to work. He was wearing his favorite blue shirt, which I always thought was lucky. But today, she looked different on him, as a symbol of what has changed between us. "Are you busy today?" he asked, barely glancing at me. "Nothing special," I answered, trying not to show my sadness. He smelled like a familiar cologne, but this time the smell annoyed me. How could it be so easy to hide all this from me? How could he act like nothing happened? When he walked out the door, I was left alone, feeling a wave of sadness wash over me. All this time, I tried to maintain the appearance that nothing had changed, but deep down, I knew that our life would never be the same again. I decided to act. After much thought, I took my phone and started flipping through our old photos. We were always happy, always together. Something has changed, and I decided to find out what exactly. This unknown was killing me. After I dropped the kids off at school, I took Jonathan's car and headed to his office. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel, my heart was pounding, and the only thought in my head was, I must know the truth, even if it destroys me. I parked near his work and began to wait. My eyes did not take off from the entrance to the office. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I had a feeling that something important would happen today. An hour later, I saw her. A tall, slim woman with dark hair falling to her shoulders stepped out of the building. She was elegantly dressed and looked confident, and it was she who I saw in the message when I read the name Lizzie. My heart squeezed painfully again. I wanted to get out of the car, run up to her and ask, "What are you doing with my husband?" But my feet seemed to have grown to the ground. I couldn't bring myself to move. I sat in the car, watching Lizzie drive away, and I knew that from this moment on, my life with Jonathan would never be the same again. I had to decide what to do next. The next day, I made a decision. I had to find out more. If Jonathan really did have an affair with this Liza, I had to find out in order to figure out how to proceed. Maybe then I will find a way to save our marriage. Or on the contrary, I will understand that everything is hopeless. Instead of going to work, I went to his office again. This time, I was more prepared. I sat in a coffee shop opposite his work, trying not to attract attention, and watched what was happening around. A few hours passed, and I was beginning to think that it was a waste of time when I suddenly saw Jonathan exit the building. He looked the way I always knew him, calm, self-confident, but something in his behavior seemed strange to me. He looked around as if to make sure no one was watching him and quickly headed for the other entrance to the building. I gathered my things and hurried after him. My heart pounded loudly in my chest as I tried not to lose sight of him. He left the building through the back door and got into the car. A few minutes later, he was already driving and I followed him at a distance. The road led us to a cozy restaurant on the outskirts of the city. I stopped a little further, watching him get out of the car and get inside. I knew something was going on there that I wouldn't like, but I couldn't stop myself. I waited a few minutes trying to collect my thoughts and then headed to the restaurant. My legs were shaking as I walked over to the window and looked inside. I saw them immediately. Jonathan was sitting at the table with the same woman, Lizzie. They laughed, talked, and then he took her hand. My heart broke into 1,000 pieces. I could not believe my eyes. This was my Jonathan, the man I loved, who swore allegiance to me. And now he sat here holding another woman's hand. My soul screamed in pain, but I couldn't bring myself to look away. I stood there by the window watching them enjoy each other's company and felt my life crumble before my eyes. When I returned home, emotions were raging in my soul. At first I was overcome with shock, then pain, and then a wave of anger swept over me. How could he do this to me? How could he betray our love and all that we have experienced together? It was unbearable. I collapsed onto the bed, feeling tears roll down my cheeks. I cried in despair, feeling my heart clench in pain. But tears did not bring relief. They only intensified the feeling of emptiness that appeared inside me. I remembered all our happy moments, all the days we were together, and felt it all crumble before my eyes. I wanted to wake up from this terrible dream, but I understood that it was reality, the reality in which my husband cheated on me. Suddenly, something changed in me. The tears dried up, leaving behind only deep anger. I could no longer sit idly by. I had to act. I had to do something to show Jonathan that I knew about his betrayal. But what exactly? I understood that a direct confrontation could destroy everything for good. I had to find another way, a way that would make him realize what he was doing, a way that would make him regret every moment he spent with that woman. I got out of bed, wiped my tears, and decided that I would not cry anymore. I had to be strong, and I had to fight for my life even if it meant breaking it. How do you like the sequel? I add more emotion and sadness so that you can fully immerse yourself in this story. I will continue to write more if you like this development. I tried to keep my cool for the next few days. Every time Jonathan came home, I would greet him with a smile, dinner cooked, and our children running to meet him as usual. From the outside, everything looked as if nothing had changed. But a storm of emotions was boiling inside me. I decided that I would act gradually, without losing my head. If I can expose his secret without destroying our family relationship, we may have a chance to save our marriage. But if Jonathan keeps lying, I can use that against him. My plan was to collect as much evidence as possible. Every call, every message, every movement he had to feel that he was being watched. I bought a small tape recorder that I hid in his car and began listening to his phone conversations. It was difficult and painful, but I knew I had to find out the truth. A few days later, I overheard their conversation. Jonathan called Lisa on his way home from work. They talked about the meeting, planned the weekend, discussed little things that concerned only the two of them. I was filled with anger and pain as I listened to him whisper to her the words he had once spoken to me. These conversations became unbearable for me. I sat in the dark listening to them and felt my heart break with pain, but at the same time as the tears, another feeling appeared: determination. I could no longer be a victim in this situation. I had to protect myself and our children. I started building a dossier on Jonathan. She kept every message, recorded every conversation, photographed every meeting. I knew it was risky, but I couldn't stop. It became my only way to control the situation. From time to time, I wondered if I was doing the right thing. But every time I heard Jonathan tell Lisa about the love he once promised me, I knew I had no choice. He betrayed our family, our life, and I had to show him what betrayal really is. One day, when Jonathan was going to another business meeting, I knew that this would be a pivotal moment. I hid the recording device in his suitcase, hoping to catch him in the act. I needed something that would definitively confirm his betrayal. When he left the house, I felt everything inside of me break apart. I sat in the dark waiting for the recording to finish, and I couldn't calm down. I wanted it all to be just a bad dream, but I knew that this was the reality that had become my destiny. Later that evening, when Jonathan came home, I pretended everything was fine. We were sitting together at dinner and he was talking about his business meeting. His lies sounded so believable that I could barely hold back the tears. After the kids went to bed, I went to the bedroom and started listening to the tape. She started with typical conversations, but after a few minutes I heard Lisa's voice. They were together in a hotel room and I couldn't bear to listen to it anymore. My patience was at its limit. I knew it was the last blow. Jonathan betrayed me, betrayed our family, and I couldn't live a lie any longer. The next morning, as he was getting ready for work again, I decided it was time to act. I prepared the divorce papers and collected all the evidence I could find. I knew it would be difficult, that the children would suffer, but I could no longer live with a man who cheated on me with another woman. When Jonathan returned that evening, I was waiting for him in the bedroom. I sat on the bed with papers in my hands and watched him enter the room without suspecting anything. "We need to talk," I said, trying to hold back tears. He stopped when he saw the divorce papers, and for the first time I saw real fear on his face. It was the moment of truth, the moment when everything fell into place. We sat in silence for a long time while Jonathan looked at the papers in my hands. He understood that I had learned the truth. Our conversation began with accusations, then turned into tears, and finally into a long silence that felt like the end. "I always thought I could hide it," he admitted, finally looking up at me. "But I see I was wrong." His words were like a knife to the heart. I couldn't believe that this person whom I loved and trusted was capable of such a thing. His betrayal not only destroyed our life, but also left me in deep loneliness. "What now?" I asked, trying to hold back tears. "I don't know," he answered quietly. "I made a terrible mistake, and I'm willing to do anything to fix it. But I realize it may be too late." His words did not bring me relief. I was devastated. On the one hand, I wanted to believe that we could fix everything. On the other hand, I understood that this pain would remain with me forever. Will I ever be able to forgive him for what he did? That night, I lay in bed listening to Jonathan sleep next to me and thinking about our future. I knew we were going to have difficult conversations ahead of us, maybe even difficult decisions. But now I had to find the strength to move on. My heart was breaking with pain, but I understood that this was only the beginning. There were many doubts and tears ahead, but I couldn't stay in this lie any longer. It's time to take your life into your own hands. The next few days passed in a blur. Jonathan tried to show that he wanted to make things right. He spent more time at home, tried to be more attentive to me and the children, but I couldn't stand it anymore. His every word, every touch was a reminder to me of the betrayal he had committed. I noticed that the children also felt the tension between us. They were quieter, watching us more carefully. Their eyes were full of questions for which I had no answers. I didn't want them to know what was going on, but I understood that they had already noticed the changes. One evening, when the children were already asleep, I decided to have a frank talk with Jonathan. We sat down in the kitchen at the table, and I, gathering all the strength that remained, told him what I should have said a long time ago. I'm filing for divorce. He looked at me silently, and I saw his face gradually turn pale. He hadn't expected it, though he should have guessed. His eyes filled with despair, and he finally admitted, I can't live without you, Jenny. I made a terrible mistake, but I love you, and I'm willing to do anything to make it right. Please don't go. His words, which before could have touched my heart, now caused only despair and anger. I couldn't believe him anymore. I couldn't trust him anymore. I was silent for a long time before answering, It doesn't matter anymore, Jonathan. You betrayed me. You betrayed our family, and I can't live in this nightmare anymore. It was hard for me to say the words, but I knew it was true. We were on different shores, and between us, there was an abyss that could no longer be overcome. Jonathan tried to argue, asked to be given another chance, promised to change, but I knew it wouldn't change what happened. I knew our marriage was broken and nothing could bring it back. This conversation was difficult and painful, but it was necessary. I had to get rid of this pain and start a new life. And although it was a difficult decision, I knew I was doing the right thing. The next morning, I started preparing for the divorce. I contacted a lawyer, gathered all the necessary documents, and started planning how to tell the children. It was the hardest step, but I knew I had to do it as gently as possible. Jonathan seemed to accept my decision, although I could see how difficult it was for him to accept it. He started packing to temporarily move in with his sister. We agreed that he could see the kids whenever he wanted, but I knew our relationship would never be the same. The farewell was cold and tense. Jonathan gathered his things in silence, not daring to look me in the eye. I stood by the door watching him pack his life into cardboard boxes. It was the moment when I realized that our life together was really over. When he finally left the house, I felt a wave of relief and sadness wash over me at the same time. It was like a release, but also a loss. I was left alone in our home where there had once been so much happiness, and now it all seemed empty and alien. I walked around the rooms, inhaling familiar smells that now reminded me of the past. Children's toys on the floor, photos of us on the walls. All this was a part of the life that I had tried to preserve for so long. But now I understand that this is no longer my life. I had to move on, find the strength to build a new future for myself and our children. And even though it was hard, I knew I could do it. The divorce was finalized a few months later. This period was incredibly difficult for me, but at the same time cathartic. I learned to live without Jonathan, without what was once the foundation of my life. I found new ways to be happy, new ways for myself and for our children. Jonathan continued to see the children, and I tried to maintain a civilized relationship with him for their sake. It wasn't easy, but I knew we had to stick together for the sake of our children. I also began to discover a new world for myself, in which there was no place for pain and betrayal. I devoted more time to my hobbies, met new people, and started doing charity work. It helped me find new meaning in a life that no longer depended on Jonathan. This new beginning was not easy, but I knew I was moving in the right direction. I was no longer the devastated woman I was when I found out about the betrayal. I became a strong, self-confident person who was able to overcome my fears and find the strength to live on. This story is gaining momentum. If you want to continue, I am ready to write more, adding more emotions and dramatic twists. A few months after the divorce, I began to notice how the memories of our years together with Jonathan began to appear in my mind more and more often. These memories were like ghosts that haunted me at the most unexpected moments. One day, while collecting children's things, I found an old photo album. When I opened it, I saw our photos, from our first meetings to weddings, from the birth of children to happy family holidays. It all seemed so far away, but at the same time, so real. I couldn't hold back tears as I turned the pages and remembered the moments when we were happy. I couldn't understand why these memories affected me so much. I already made the decision to divorce, went through all this pain, and started a new life. But these photos, these moments of our past, awakened something deep and incomprehensible in me. Why can't I just let it go? Why am I still thinking about him? I realized that even though our marriage was over, the love I once felt for Jonathan hadn't completely disappeared. She turned into something else, a mixture of sadness, pain, and nostalgia. It was like a wound that, although healed, left a scar that I could still feel. These memories made me think about our life, about what went wrong. I knew that Jonathan's betrayal was the point at which we could no longer be together. But were there other things we could have changed to avoid this? Was there anything I could have done differently? These thoughts haunted me day and night. I tried to find answers, but all I found were more questions. I realized that life does not always give us the opportunity to find answers to all questions. Sometimes we just have to learn to live with what we have and move on. After this emotional explosion of memories, I realized that I had to find a way to finally let go of the past and focus on the present. I could not allow myself to remain in captivity of memories that only brought pain. I needed to come back to reality and continue to build my new life. I decided to occupy myself even more. I signed up for the courses I had dreamed of for a long time, started spending more time with my children and friends. I plunged into work again, trying to fill every minute with something useful and distracting. Over time, I noticed that it helps. I didn't think about Jonathan as often anymore. I didn't feel the pain of his betrayal as much. My life gradually returned to normal, and I began to see the world in new colors. But I knew that this process would not be quick. The wounds Jonathan had left were still fresh, and it took me a long time to fully heal. But I believed that I would be able to do it, that I would be able to find my happiness, despite everything that happened. It was a difficult path, but I have already taken the first steps. And each new day was another step towards complete recovery, towards a new chapter of my life, which had already begun to be written. Somehow I realized that it was time to try to open up to a new relationship. I thought about it for a long time and realized that although the past still leaves its mark on me, I cannot allow myself to remain locked in it. Maybe meeting new people will help me finally let Jonathan go. I decided to start small. Just meet new people, go on dates, communicate. I wasn't looking for anything serious. I just wanted to feel that I could be happy and loved again. First dates were awkward and strange. I felt uncomfortable comparing each new man to Jonathan, but I knew that it was normal, that I needed to give myself time. One day during one of these meetings, I met Andrew. He was completely different from Jonathan. Calm, attentive, sensitive. He wasn't trying to impress me. He wasn't playing roles. He was real. Andrew and I started talking more often, and I noticed that I liked spending time with him. He understood me, did not put pressure on me, gave me the space and time I needed so much. It was something new and unusual for me. Every day I felt more and more that my heart was beginning to open to new feelings. I still felt the pain of Jonathan's betrayal, but next to Andrew, this pain gradually began to recede into the background. I realized that maybe this is what I need, a new beginning, a new love. My friendship with Andrew gradually grew into something more. We started spending more time together, going to events, just enjoying each other's company. I noticed that he gives me something that I haven't felt in a long time, peace and confidence in the future. Our relationship was slow, unhurried. I appreciated his understanding and patience that he showed. It was a completely new experience for me. To build a relationship based on trust and mutual respect, not on passion or desire. With Andrew, I felt again that I could love and be loved. He accepted me with all my pains, doubts, and fears, helped me pass through these difficult moments. My life began to be filled with new colors. I was no longer the broken woman who was dealing with betrayal. I found the strength to move on, to open my heart to new feelings. But despite all this, I still felt a certain fear. I was afraid that I could lose what I had again, that the past could come back and destroy what I had built for so long. But I knew that I could not live in fear, that I had to move forward. And I went forward, step by step, together with Andrew, who became a support for me in this new life. Everything was going well, and my relationship with Andrew grew stronger every day. But deep down, I was still haunted by the shadows of the past. I tried to ignore them, but they would pop up every now and then, reminding me of Jonathan and the pain he had caused. One evening, when Andrew and I were together, I suddenly felt a wave of these memories wash over me. We were sitting on the couch watching a movie, but I couldn't concentrate. Moments from my past life appeared in my head again. I remembered how Jonathan was also sitting next to me, how we laughed, planned the future, talked about dreams, and then it all shattered into thousands of pieces. Andrew noticed that I was deep in thought and asked, "What happened, Emily? You look upset." I did not know what to answer. How do you explain to the person who makes you happy that you still sometimes feel pain because of someone else? Are you afraid that history may repeat itself? "It's just memories," I answered, trying to smile. "Sometimes they come back and I can't control them." Andrew looked at me with understanding and, hugging me, whispered, "It's okay, Emily. Your past is a part of you, but I'm here, and I'm willing to walk this path with you, however long it takes." His words were like a balm for the soul. I knew he was right, and although it still took me a long time to fully let go of the past, I have already taken a big step forward. I decided not to let these shadows of the past control my present and future. Our relationship with Andrew was undergoing its first serious test. One day, I received an unexpected phone call from Jonathan. His voice sounded as if there were no years of pain and estrangement between us. He asked me to meet, said he wanted to talk. I felt everything freeze inside me. It was so unexpected. Why now? What does he want to say? I hesitated, not knowing what to do. But part of me still agreed. I told Andrew about it. He looked calm, although I could see that he was not happy with the news. He trusted me, and this trust strengthened our relationship even more. Andrew didn't try to talk me out of the meeting. He just said, "I'm rooting for you, Emily. Do what you think is right." The next day, I met Jonathan at a small cafe where we often went together. His appearance had changed. He looked tired and aged. When he saw me, a sad smile appeared on his face. "Emily," he began, "I know I've ruined everything we had. And I understand that you probably hate me, but I want to apologize for everything." I listened to him, feeling how different feelings were mixed inside me: pain, anger, disappointment, but at the same time, some relief. This apology, albeit belated, has given me the opportunity to close this page for good. "Jonathan," I answered, "I've thought about it for a long time, and although it was very difficult for me, I was able to forgive you. Not for you, but for myself. I can't go on living with this hate, but our lives took different paths, and I want you to understand that." His eyes filled with tears. He thanked me, and we went our separate ways. This meeting was the final closure of something that I could not let go of for a long time. I felt a heavy weight lift off my shoulders. After that meeting with Jonathan, I felt free. Free from pain, from the shadows of the past, from what haunted me. It was like the release I had been waiting for so long. I went home to Andrew, and when he saw me, he knew something had changed. I told him about our conversation with Jonathan and how I finally felt free. Andrew smiled and hugged me and said, "I'm proud of you, Emily. You've been through a lot and you're still going strong. Now we can build our future without looking back." These words were like a new beginning for me. I realized that now I can fully commit to our relationship without any fears or doubts. Now I could start a new chapter of my life, and this chapter was to be filled with happiness and love. Several months had passed since that conversation with Jonathan. Our relationship with Andrew continued to grow. I again began to feel something that had been forgotten for a long time: true love and support. Andrew became not only my support, but also my children's best friend. They loved him, and I saw him become part of our family. One evening, when we were all sitting together at dinner, Andrew asked me out of the blue, "Emily, what do you think about us officially becoming a family?" I was surprised, but my heart felt warm. I knew it was the right move. I loved him and was ready for a new stage of our life. "Yes, Andrew. I think that's a great idea," I replied with a smile. The children were happy and started planning how it will be when we are all one big family. I felt that we had finally found our place in the world, a place where we could be happy together. This was just the beginning of our new life, a life that we will build together day by day with the love and trust we have earned. After Andrew and I decided to become a family, we started thinking about finding a new home where we could start this new life. We were looking for a place that would be perfect for us and the kids. We looked at many houses but could not find one that met all our expectations. However, one day we came across a small, cozy house on the outskirts of the city. It had everything we needed: a spacious kitchen, a big garden where the kids could play, and a great view of the forest. When we got out of the car and looked at the house, I felt that this was exactly where we were supposed to be. Andrew, seeing my admiration, smiled and said, "This is our home, Emily." I agreed with him. We bought this house and soon started moving. The kids had a blast unpacking their things and choosing their rooms. Everyone was happy and full of enthusiasm for a new life. When we finished moving, I went out on the porch and watched the sunset. I felt that we finally found our place in this world. It was the beginning of a new life full of hope and possibilities. The new home has become a real paradise for us. We began to furnish it as we had always dreamed. Andrew spent a lot of time in the garden arranging flower beds and planting flowers, and the children helped him, enjoying each new sprout. I was engaged in the interior of the house, adding my own special touch to each room. I wanted our home to be cozy and reflect our new family. However, despite all this enthusiasm, we faced the first difficulties. Moving, new place, new rules. All this required time and adaptation. The children were somewhat nervous about the changes, and I understood them because changes are always difficult. But we worked together. Each of us contributed to making this home truly ours. Andrew, as always, was a support for both me and the children. He helped them get used to the new place, took the time to talk to them if they had any doubts or concerns. Every day our home became more and more ours. We began to feel a part of this place. And while there was still a lot of work ahead, we were happy to take this step together. This was just the beginning of our new life. The life we built together, step by step, with love and understanding. Despite all efforts, adaptation to a new life was not without problems. A few weeks after the move, unexpected difficulties began to arise. The children, although happy about their new home, began to feel a little lost in their new school and among their new friends. This created tension in our family, which I tried to overcome by supporting them, but sometimes it was difficult. One evening, after the kids were asleep, I sat in the kitchen with Andrew and confessed to him that I was feeling tired from all the changes and stress. "I just want everything to be okay," I said, putting my head in my hands. Andrew took my hands in his and said, "Emily, we have only just begun this journey. No one said it would be easy, but we are together and we will cope with these difficulties. It is necessary to give children time for adaptation. And to myself, too." His words helped me calm down a little. I realized that I can't control everything and that we just need to be patient. Life always presents challenges and we must be able to accept them. Children began to get used to the new environment. Andrew and I worked to make them feel safe and comfortable. It was not easy, but I noticed gradual changes. They started making friends at school, became more open and self-confident. I also tried to devote more time to myself. Moving, a new home, new responsibilities, all this required a lot of energy from me, and I realized that I needed to find a balance in order not to lose myself in all this. One day, Andrew suggested that we do yoga together. At first, I was skeptical, but then I decided to give it a try. This was a real discovery for me. Practicing yoga helped me to focus, to find inner peace and stability, which I lacked so much. Andrew and I started doing this together every week, and I felt myself regaining balance and harmony. It became another step in our life together. During this difficult period, I also realized how important it is to have the support of friends. My old friends remained in the past, but I began to find new people with whom we shared similar views and values. One of my new acquaintances, Megan, became a real support for me. She lived nearby and often visited us for tea. We spent a lot of time together, talked about life, family, children. Her advice and support helped me overcome the difficulties I faced. Megan also helped me find new activities that took my mind off my day-to-day problems. We went to cooking classes together, where I discovered new recipes and even started cooking more at home. It brought me joy and a sense of satisfaction that I can create something delicious and make my family happy. However, despite all efforts, difficulties continued to appear. One evening, when the children were already asleep, an argument broke out between me and Andrew. It happened because of little things, but that little thing was the last straw. I yelled at him, expressing my displeasure with everything that had accumulated lately. I was tired, irritated, and this resulted in our conflict. Andrew, although he remained calm, looked upset. He also gave his point of view, and we both realized that we needed to talk about our problems instead of hoarding them. This argument forced us to sit down and have a frank talk. We decided to be open with each other, not be afraid to express our feelings and support each other during this difficult time. We realized that marriage is not only happiness, but also constant work on relationships. After that argument, Andrew and I became closer. Open conversation helped us understand that our problems are not so serious if we are willing to work on them together. We decided to be patient with each other and not be afraid to express our feelings. We also started spending more time together, just enjoying each other's company. They walked in nature, went on weekends outside the city, where they found peace and inspiration. Our relationship became stronger, and I realized that Andrew is the person with whom I am ready to spend the rest of my life. We've been through a lot, but it only made our love stronger. The children also noticed changes in our family. They became happier and more confident, seeing that Andrew and I support each other and cope with all the difficulties. It was a new stage in our lives, which showed us that together we can overcome any difficulties, and I was happy that we found our way to harmony and peace in our family. A few months after our big fight and reconciliation, life began to return to its usual rhythm. But one unexpected piece of news brought a new wave of joy into our lives. I felt a little strange and decided to take a pregnancy test. When I saw the positive result, I could not believe my eyes. It was a real miracle. I decided to break the news to Andrew during our dinner. As we sat at the table, I placed the pregnancy test next to his plate and watched his reaction. Andrew picked up the test in surprise, and seeing the result, a huge smile appeared on his face. He picked me up in his arms and hugged me, unable to contain his joy. "That's the best news I've ever heard, Emily," he said as we sat together discussing our future. This news was the beginning of a new, even happier stage in our lives. We were looking forward to the arrival of our baby and planned how to make our home even more cozy and prepare everything for the new member of our family. After I announced my pregnancy to Andrew, our home was filled with excitement and anticipation. We began actively preparing for the arrival of our baby. I felt the new life in me fill our home with light and hope, and even the children were full of impatience, waiting for a new brother or sister. Andrew took over most of the housework, allowing me to rest more. He bought everything necessary for the baby, organized the transformation of one of the rooms into a nursery, and even assembled a new crib himself. I often sat in the new children's room, imagining what our life would be like after the baby was born. I relived the moments when I held our older children for the first time and thought about how much I wanted to give them a little brother or sister. Despite all the joy and happiness, I began to feel small doubts. Pregnancy brought not only physical changes, but also emotional ones. I often wondered, will I be able to cope with 3 children? Will Andrew and I have enough strength and patience for the new challenges that await us? One evening, as Andrew and I sat on the sofa, I shared my worries with him. He listened to me attentively, holding my hands in his. "Emily, you're the best mother anyone could imagine," he said. "We have been through a lot together, and I know that we will cope with all difficulties. Our baby will be surrounded by love, and that's the main thing." His words calmed me down a little. I realized that I should not be afraid of the future. We are together, and together, we can overcome all difficulties. In the 6th month of pregnancy, when everything seemed stable and calm, I started to feel a slight pain in my stomach. At first, I thought it was just the usual discomfort associated with pregnancy, but later the pain started to intensify. Andrew insisted that I see a doctor. After several examinations and tests, doctors discovered some complications. I had to stay in the hospital for a few days for observation. These days were filled with anxiety and fear. I was afraid for the life of our baby, for our future. Andrew was there, supporting me and trying to calm me down, but I could see that he was having a hard time too. We both understood that this was a test for our family. We prayed and hoped that everything would be fine. I lay in the hospital bed holding Andrew's hand and thought about how important it was that we were together in this difficult situation. After several days of observation and treatment, the situation stabilized. The doctors assured us that everything will be fine with the baby, but they advised me to rest more and avoid stress. We got home, but I still felt weak and insecure. Andrew became even more caring. He did everything possible to make me feel comfortable and at ease. He took over all household duties and even sent the children to my grandmother for a few days so that I could rest. This time was difficult, but it also strengthened our relationship. I realized that Andrew is really ready to do anything for our family. His love and support became a real source of strength for me. After what I experienced in the hospital, I began to look at life in a new way. I realized how fragile and precious every moment is. We never know what is waiting for us around the corner, and that is why I decided not to waste any more time on doubts and worries. I began to appreciate the time spent with my family more. Andrew and I started spending more time together, planning our future and just enjoying each other's company. Every day was a gift for me, and I tried to enjoy it to the fullest. We also decided to visit a family counselor together to prepare for the birth of the third child and learn how to better cope with the new challenges. This helped us understand each other better and find a common approach to solving any problems. As the due date approached, our home was filled with anticipation. The children were eagerly waiting for the arrival of a little brother or sister, while Andrew and I tried to prepare everything necessary. I could no longer do housework so actively, so I spent most of my time reading books and preparing for the upcoming birth. Andrew became the real master of the house, but he also found time to pay attention to me and the children. We all went for walks together, visited the doctor, and planned how we would celebrate the birth of our baby. These moments became special for us. They helped us to focus on joy and not on difficulties. When the day of delivery came, I felt a mixture of fear and excitement. Andrew was by my side the whole time, holding my hand and supporting me. He tried to remain calm, although I could see that he was also nervous. The birth was not easy, but in the end, I gave birth to a healthy baby. When I saw our baby for the first time, I felt incredibly happy and relieved. All our worries, fears, and difficulties disappeared at that moment. Andrew looked so happy holding our baby in his arms. I felt that we had found our place in this world again. Our baby was a symbol of our love, our common journey, and all the trials we went through together. This moment was the beginning of a new stage in our lives. We were ready for new challenges, new joys, and most importantly, to be happy together as a family. After the birth of our child, life began to return to a new normal. Glad and happy with the new family member, I felt that our home has become even warmer and cozier. However, with new duties and responsibilities came new challenges. The first few weeks after giving birth were very exhausting. The baby often woke up at night, and I again experienced the lack of sleep that I had known since my first birth. Andrew tried to help as much as he could, but we were both tired and often stressed. We quickly realized that we need to divide responsibilities more and try to find time for rest. I started hiring a babysitter for a few hours a day so that I could rest and recover. Andrew also helped me at night so that I could sleep at least a few hours at a time. My family came to visit to help us through this difficult time. My mom and dad, as well as my siblings, spent a few days at our house. Their help was invaluable. My mom cooked delicious meals that saved us from having to cook every day, and my dad and brothers helped with the housework. This support was very important. She not only helped us cope with physical responsibilities, but also brought emotional peace. I felt that I was not alone in this new phase of life. Andrew and I also took this opportunity to be together and relax a bit. We were able to enjoy moments together like never before, and it helped strengthen our relationship. When the baby grew up a little, we began to celebrate new stages of his development. The first smile, the first step, the first word, each of these moments was important and joyful. We took lots of photos and videos to remember these special moments. Our older children also felt the joy of a new member of the family. They helped take care of the baby, brought him toys, and even tried to read him fairy tales. It was a real pleasure to see them grow up and become good brothers and sisters. Feeling the joy of the baby's new achievements, I often thought about the difficulties we went through and thought that it was all worth it. Our life became richer and happier, and I was grateful for every day. However, not everything was cloudless. After the birth of the baby, I began to experience certain health problems. I was not prepared for all the physical and emotional changes that pregnancy and childbirth brought. Sometimes I felt weak and tired, and it affected my general well-being. I went to the doctor, and I was prescribed additional examinations and treatment. Andrew was very supportive and helped me through all the difficulties. He tried to be by my side during all medical visits and hold my hand in moments of anxiety. Thanks to timely treatment and family support, my health improved, but I realized that recovery after childbirth can be a long and difficult process. I tried to be patient with myself and not to forget the importance of taking care of my own health. A few months after giving birth, when my health stabilized, I felt that I was starting to recover. I started exercising again, which helped me regain my physical shape and find energy for daily tasks. Andrew and I also found time for ourselves. We started planning small vacations and trips to rekindle our relationship and enjoy life together. These moments of rest became important for us and helped us feel happy and free again. We also decided to spend more time together as a family. Outings in nature, hikes, and evenings together at home have become part of our routine. It gave us the opportunity to become even closer and create new memories that we will keep for a lifetime. We have learned to accept change as part of our lives. From new challenges to new joys, all this has become part of our daily existence. I realize that life is not only moments of happiness, but also periods of difficulties that we go through together. Andrew and I became even stronger as a couple. Our relationship has been through many trials and we have been able to endure it all together. It gave us a new perspective on what it means to be a family and support each other in all circumstances. We learned to enjoy simple moments and be grateful for everything we have. This was an important lesson for us, and I was happy to be able to walk this path with Andrew and our children. Over time, our children began to grow up and become more independent. As parents, we were proud of their achievements and rejoiced at their successes. Every day brought new moments of joy and discovery. Andrew and I continued to work on our relationship, making time for shared hobbies and planning new adventures. We understood that even in everyday life, it is important to find time for each other. We also started thinking more about the future and planning new projects. Andrew decided to take part in volunteer initiatives, and I started working on projects that always interested me. It gave us new opportunities for personal development and strengthened our family. A year after the birth of our baby, we decided to celebrate this special year together. We organized a big family party to which we invited all our relatives and friends. The holiday was filled with laughter, joy, and warmth. We spent time together sharing stories and reminiscing about the moments that made this year so special. The children played, and we enjoyed talking with our relatives. This holiday became not only the conclusion of our year, but also a symbol of how we were able to overcome all difficulties and find happiness together. We were grateful for every day and for having each other. One evening, sitting with Andrew by the fireplace, I started a conversation about our beginnings and the moments that led us to where we are now. We reminisced about our first meetings, about the difficulties we went through together, and about the small joys that made our lives so memorable. These memories have helped us appreciate what we have. We realized how important it is to keep in touch and remember those moments that made us stronger. We decided to continue developing our relationship and create new memories together. Over time, our children grew up, and we began to spend more time alone. Our life as a couple has become even more intense and interesting. Andrew and I continued to explore new horizons, engage in new hobbies, and plan our future together. We also learned to appreciate the moments of peace and quiet that were now available to us. It was a time for new beginnings and new opportunities. We were grateful for all the moments experienced and for the fact that our life became so rich and full. We knew that many new challenges and joys lay ahead. but we were ready to accept them, knowing that we could handle anything that came our way if we stuck together. As our children grew up, life in our family changed. They began to choose their own paths and overcome new stages of development. These changes brought new joys and challenges. Andrew and I found new ways to communicate and interact. It was important to maintain an open dialogue and help children develop, giving them freedom of choice and the opportunity to express themselves. It became important for us to maintain harmony in our family. One evening, when our children were older, Andrew and I had a serious conversation about our future. We discussed issues that affected not only us, but also our children. We were considering moving to another city that might better suit our new goals and needs. This issue caused a lot of discussion and thought because we did not want this move to affect our relationship or the lives of the children. In the end, we decided that we needed to carefully plan all aspects so that this transition would be smooth and positive for everyone in the family. It was a new challenge for us, but we were confident that we could handle everything together. Our decision to move was made, and we began preparations for the move. Packing things, finding a new home, and organizing all the details took a lot of time and effort. It was a stressful time, but we tried to support each other and stay optimistic. Our children were a little nervous, but we tried to make this transition as comfortable as possible for them. We spent more time with them, talking about new opportunities and positive aspects of the move. The move was difficult, but also exciting. We found a new home that suited our needs and began to adapt to our new environment. It was a new beginning for our family. After moving, we began to get used to the new place. New school, new neighbors, new opportunities. All this became part of our life. We were actively involved in the local community, met new people, and looked for opportunities for ourselves and our children. This adaptation process was important for us to feel comfortable in the new environment. We supported each other, and it helped us get used to the changes faster. At the same time, we continued to maintain our family traditions and find time for shared moments. It helped us stay in touch and remain a united family. As time went on, we began to experience a new dynamic in our family. The new environment brought new challenges and opportunities. We discovered new interests and hobbies, and it became a part of our lives. We also noticed that the new local rhythm affected our relationship. It was a chance to rethink our values and goals. We tried to maintain a balance between work, family responsibilities, and personal time. It was important to find new ways to support each other and maintain a positive attitude. It helped us maintain harmony and joy in our lives. Moving was an important test for our family. We learned to understand and support each other more. The changes we experienced helped us become even closer and stronger. We continued to work on our relationship and find ways to support each other. It was important to maintain a positive climate in our family and to avoid conflicts or misunderstandings. We found joy in the little things and tried to be grateful for what we had. It became a part of our daily life and helped maintain harmony. Over time, our life became more stable. We got used to the new environment and found our place in the new community. Our children adapted to new conditions and began to actively participate in local events and activities. Andrew and I also found new interests and opportunities for development. It became a new phase in our lives, and we were grateful for all the opportunities that were given to us. We continued to support each other and find joy in each day. It helped us stay positive and enjoy life together. Andrew and I began to think about our future. We set new goals and planned new projects. It was a time for new ideas and opportunities. We continued to work on our relationship and find ways to keep our connection. It helped us stay positive and be happy together. We also tried to maintain a balance between personal life and duties. It was important to maintain harmony and happiness in our family. Andrew and I have achieved many goals together. These were both personal and family achievements. We were proud of the fact that we were able to cope with all the challenges and maintain harmony in our family. Our children continued to delight us with their achievements. We were happy to see them grow and develop. It was a real pleasure for us. We tried to find time for shared moments and to celebrate our successes. It helped us to maintain a positive attitude and joy in our lives. We continued to open new horizons. Our lives have become richer thanks to new opportunities and experiences. We tried to make the most of every moment and be grateful for everything we have. We also continued to develop our relationship and support each other. It helped us maintain harmony and happiness in our family. A few years later, sitting with Andrew in the yard, I began to think about our life. We have been through many hardships and joys, and it has given us a new perspective on what it means to be together. We were grateful for all the moments we experienced and for the fact that we were able to overcome all the challenges. Our lives have become richer because of everything we've been through together. Andrew and I continued to plan our future together. We set new goals and looked for opportunities for personal development and family happiness. We knew that many new challenges and joys lay ahead, but we were ready to accept them, knowing that we can handle anything if we stick together. We continued to work on our relationship and support each other. It was important for us to maintain harmony and happiness in our lives. We have found joy and peace in our lives. We cherished every moment together and tried to keep a positive attitude. It helped us maintain harmony and happiness in our family. We also continued to look for new opportunities for development and personal growth. It was important for us to keep our lives full and interesting. We were grateful for all the opportunities we were given and continued to work on our relationship. It was important for us to keep the love and support for each other. We have reached new milestones in our lives. It was a new stage that brought new opportunities and challenges. We were ready to meet these new opportunities together. We continued to work on our relationship and support each other. It helped us maintain harmony and happiness in our family. We also found new ways to grow and find joy in each day. It was important for us to keep our lives full and interesting. We took stock of what we had achieved and started planning new goals for the future. It was important for us to stay motivated and keep a positive attitude. We continued to work on our relationship and find new ways to support each other. It helped us maintain harmony and happiness in our family. We were grateful for all the moments experienced and for being able to go through all the difficulties together. We knew that many new opportunities and joys lay ahead. Over time, when our life became more stable and calm, I began to think about what it means to be together with Andrew. We went through many difficult moments but managed to maintain our love and support for each other. We were grateful for all the joys and difficulties that helped us become stronger. Our lives have become richer because of everything we've been through together. We continued to cherish every moment together and find new ways to preserve our happiness. It was important for us to remain a united family and support each other in all situations. Our life has become calmer and more harmonious. We found joy in the little things and cherished every moment together. It helped us maintain a positive attitude and happiness in our family. We continued to support each other and find new ways to develop. It was important for us to keep our lives full and interesting. We were grateful for all the opportunities we were given and continued to work on our relationship. It helped us maintain harmony and happiness in our lives. Andrew and I decided to start new projects and plans for the future. It was a time for new opportunities and changes. We were ready for these new beginnings and knew we could handle anything together. We continued to work on our relationship and find new ways to support each other. It helped us maintain harmony and happiness in our family. We also tried to keep a positive attitude and be grateful for all the opportunities that were given to us. It was important for us to keep our lives full and interesting. We continued to enjoy every moment together and be grateful for everything we have. It helped us maintain a positive attitude and happiness in our family. We also continued to support each other and look for new opportunities for development. It was important for us to keep our lives full and interesting. We were grateful for all the moments experienced and for being able to go through all the difficulties together. It helped us maintain harmony and happiness in our lives. We made the final plans for the future and began to implement them. It was important for us to stay motivated and keep a positive attitude. We continued to work on our relationship and support each other. It helped us maintain harmony and happiness in our family. We were grateful for all the opportunities we were given and continued to look for new ways to maintain our happiness. It was important for us to keep our lives full and interesting. We have found peace and tranquility in our lives. We cherished every moment together and continued to support each other. It helped us maintain harmony and happiness in our family. We continued to work on our relationship and look for new opportunities for development. It was important for us to keep our lives full and interesting. We were grateful for all the moments experienced and for being able to go through all the difficulties together. It helped us maintain harmony and happiness in our lives. We continued to open up new opportunities and look for new ways to develop. It was a time for new beginnings and opportunities. Andrew and I have been working on new projects and looking for new ways to support each other. It helped us maintain harmony and happiness in our family. We were grateful for all the opportunities we were given and continued to work on our relationship. It helped us maintain harmony and happiness in our lives. We have reached the final stages of our plans and projects. It was a time to take stock and reflect on what we have achieved. Andrew and I were grateful for all the opportunities we were given and for all the moments we experienced. It helped us maintain harmony and happiness in our family. We continued to support each other and find new ways to maintain our happiness. It was important for us to keep our lives full and interesting. We were grateful for all the moments experienced and for being able to go through all the difficulties together. It helped us maintain harmony and happiness in our family. We continued to enjoy every moment together and find new opportunities for development. It was important for us to keep our lives full and interesting. We were grateful for all the opportunities we were given and continued to work on our relationship. It helped us maintain harmony and happiness in our lives. Over time, our life became calm and harmonious. We found joy in every day and cherished every moment together. It helped us maintain a positive attitude and happiness in our family. We were grateful for all the opportunities we were given and continued to support each other. It was important for us to keep our lives full and interesting. We completed our plans and projects, maintaining a positive attitude and gratitude for all the moments experienced. It helped us maintain harmony and happiness in our lives.